Let's take you back to Cape Town now, where Deputy Police Minister Cassel Mathale has been testifying at the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee probing corruption and interference in the SAPS. Newzroom Afrika's Zoleka Qodashe is following the proceedings and joins us now live from Parliament. Very good afternoon to you, Zoleka. Interesting conversations towards before that break, where the Deputy Police Minister was being put on the spot to actually identify the culprit, given the fact that he has been there for 12 months, not really being given any responsibilities. But he reckons that if the minister, who is currently on special leave, was to return tomorrow on Thursday, he will have some responsibilities, which I find a bit amusing, one must say.
That's correct, Vuyo. Good afternoon. And that interaction really taking place against the backdrop of the understanding that the Deputy Minister of Police, Cassel Mathale, has in relation to the powers that he has, as well as those of the Minister in relation to the disbandment of the Political Killings Task Team. But there are various other aspects that the Chief Evidence Leader earlier on chose to focus on, and that have been essentially accentuated by the members of Parliament as they continue asking those questions in an attempt to seek clarity from the Deputy Minister. And one of them is that engagement that was allegedly between a Deputy Minister as well as the now suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner for Crime Detection, Lieutenant General Shadrack Sibiya. You'll remember that when Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, the top cop in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, appeared before Parliament's ad hoc committee, he had alleged that there was a text message that was sent from Sibiya or by Sibiya to a Deputy Minister, in which he says there was the procurement from China through illegal means of spy equipment totaling about 13 million rand. Sibiya then, in the message, allegedly called for an investigation and also said that there must be the National Commissioner, Fani Masimula, must account in that regard. And so that is another aspect that was probed by the lawmakers as they also saw clarity on those allegations. But Cassel Mathale says that, in fact, that message was not sent to him. Now, you'll remember, Vuyo, that in the police ministry, there are 2 deputy ministers. So it will be interesting to see what the other deputy minister, Qodashe, will say when they have their say before the ad hoc committee. Let's just listen to what Cassel Mathale said in relation to that specific alleged text message.
Senior Counsel, if you follow the content of that message, it's clear that the person who wrote it is peddling information, and if you receive such a message, you dismiss it, because it says that for any amount above, is it 30 or 10 million, you need the authority of the minister. There's no such a thing. There's no such a thing. The minister has no role in procurement. Whether it's for 1 cent or for whatever amount, the minister have no opinion.
Now, you'll remember, Vuyo, that there were also questions regarding the constitutionality or legality of the decision by the minister to issue that letter for the disbandment of the Political Killings Task Team. But that is not the only issue in relation to the constitutionality or lawfulness of that decision. There's also questions around the legality of the PKTT and how it was functioning. You'll remember that Minister Mchunu, when he appeared before the ad hoc committee, had said that essentially the structure or the PKTT was not operating lawfully because there was a work study that was conducted that essentially advised or recommended that the PKTT should be disbanded, particularly because it was not part of the organogram of the SAPS and would not feature permanently within the structure because it was not meant to be a unit within the SAPS and instead is a team that is not a permanent structure or features permanently in the organogram of the SAPS. And because of that, because it was a temporary body meant to tackle a specific issue, there were issues in relation to its budget and the various complaints that were leveled against the PKTT, and also the extension in the budgets and what was to be required of the PKTT to fulfill its mandate. Now, you'll remember that Senzo Mchunu, when he appeared before the inquisitorial body, had told the committee that essentially he had fears that it violated the PFMA, and as a result, that is one of the factors that he considered when he issued that letter on the eve of New Year's Day for the disbandment of the political killings task team. Now, that in particular was also an issue that was taken by the MPs in relation to those reasons. But let's just listen to what Cassel Mathale had to say in relation to the legality and the functioning of the PKTT.
Those expenses will not become irregular. They are within the law, and if the Auditor General then come to establish that no, this thing is irregular, he will do so and express an opinion. But I don't think the accounting officer will allow a situation where finances of the institutions are spent irregularly. That's why I'm saying there's no expenditure which was irregular that was incurred by the PKTT.
Now, Vuyo, another issue that you correctly mentioned was that of the functions of the deputy ministers. And so that was an issue that the MPs also took issue with in relation to the functions of the DMs, as well as what role they have to play within the police ministry. Now, what has been leveled against the DM, the deputy minister, essentially, is that you have a minister that has been placed on leave of absence, that's Senzo Mchunu. Then you have the acting police minister, that's Professor Feroz Kachalia. And then on top of that, you have two deputy ministers who have now, we've heard, that have not been given their functions in terms of how to operate within the police ministry. This a cause for concern in relation to the money that taxpayers are paying. You'll remember that the MK party in particular, this is something that they also raised, have been to court also in relation to that and the use of taxpayers' money to actually have multiple police ministers, and that is in the form of Senzo Mchunu, who's been placed on leave of absence, as well as the acting police minister, and then also having two deputies in that position. They call a waste of taxpayers' money. But the role of the DMs in the police ministry has also been called into question because after a year of being in office have not been given their functions and duties in relation to how they would work within the police ministry. Let's just listen to that interaction between the MK party's Sibonelo Nomvalo as well as the deputy minister.
If after 12 months he has not given any function to you through a performance agreement, so he is simply saying, you guys are not adding any value to my work. So there's no need for me to formulate any performance agreement or any performance plan that delegates functions to you. Because a performance plan is triggered by the practical need, by a practical need. They don't just take it from the atmosphere. When there is a need for you to do something, they write that need down and give you responsibilities to resolve those needs. Now, that has not happened for 12 months. Now, do 2 deputy ministers add any value under the current form?
Definitely they do, Honorable. It doesn't mean that delegations, because delegations have not done, therefore, the department can function without deputy ministers. It doesn't mean that. There is relevance to their creation. And as I said, that SAPS is not like other ministries. It's a huge department. A department that is complex in how it is structured. There you have 4 entities that are in themselves departments. And you need to preside over them. So yes, there is a need and a necessity. The delay, it's a delay that we have had, but that delay cannot explain why you can't have deputy ministers. It had nothing to do with that.
Now, Vuyo, before the break, you heard the MK Party's Vusi Shongwe essentially asking whose fault it is that you have 2 deputy ministers that haven't been assigned their functions. We're expecting that we will continue just in a moment as the parties and MPs continue probing those allegations of criminal infiltration within the criminal justice system and putting their questions to the deputy minister, Vuyo.
Zoleka Qodashe, who's of course keeping an eye on that ad hoc committee meeting where Deputy Police Minister Cassel Mathale is testifying today.